would you say are some common misperceptions about the role of security in engineering projects?
I think the single biggest misconception is that it's the job of a security guy or a security team, and not the job of every engineer and product manager working on that product. It is the sort of thing. Of course, there are security experts, and we've got, not even counting myself, and we got two great ones on the phone here today, or on the call today. But experts absolutely have their role. But if everybody else on the team throws up their hands and says, I don't have to worry about this, I've got my own features to implement, and the security guy will figure out the security, you won't have a secure product. It's got to be, every engineer has got to be thinking about it and aware of it. And you know, as I've mentioned a few times, it goes beyond just the engineering team, right? The product team, the support team of the company, things like this. Everybody's got to be aware of the problem.
Josh, any other common misperceptions that you would see about the role of security in engineering projects?
Yeah, I like Howdy's answer, the ownership idea. Like I do think that it tends to get pushed off a bit. And also, I think that it's like too hard, right? So that it's you know, it's not my problem, so I won't even try. And so I think there's just a lot. Like we talked about that first question, right? We're building up. There's a, you know, we're building on things, so it's like you can make small improvements, even if it's like way down in this lower level code, and that is going to make a difference.
Trent, anything else?
Yeah, I think there's a misperception that hackers have a very limited amount of time and will put only a small amount of effort into breaking into a device or a system. And that has been proven wrong time and time again. And that's why we really have to have a solid security architecture. We have to be using cryptographically secure algorithms. And even then, we're going to have vulnerabilities and folks are going to be able to hack a system. But the thought that like, oh, you know, I'll just make this obscure and it'll be quick and easy and no hacker would try to reverse engineer this, that thought just does not occur to hackers.
That is, just to emphasize, that is also a great answer. All the time we see that folks, you know, in the developed world, an engineer says, oh, you know, this would take somebody 2 weeks to figure out. They're going to spend the 2 weeks. There's no question. And first of all, it probably won't. They'll probably get it faster. But even if it did take 2 weeks, they'll spend that time.
Yeah. So just to add to that, so I gave this talk at CCC. We spent, I think, 4 months trying to break the silicon. We tried to break the chip of this product. And so off and on, we worked for 4 months to do this thing. So, I mean, that was just on our own time because we were curious. So, yeah.
So Josh, if you're a designer of a product and you design the product to be secure, then why do you need to worry about post-launch security?
I mean, I don't think anyone gets it right. So it's I mean, it's always good to have another set of eyes. Like even in a non-security sense, you would, I mean, I know people would, if you're an RF engineer, you might talk to a colleague and be like, hey, you know, did I get the circuit right? I mean, it's like kind of the same thing in security. The more formal way to do it is just go get a penetration test or an external audit or like to meet some sort of standard. That would be like the most formal way. But certainly like, especially if you're hands down working on it and you've been vested to get this product to market, I mean, you certainly could have blind spots.
Trent, any thoughts on that?
The problem is that time marches forward. And so, you know, we may launch what at the time is a perfectly secure product, but then some vulnerability in some algorithm or some library that we used is discovered years later. And that product is now vulnerable. I mean, you could argue it was always vulnerable, but now there's an available exploit for it. And so we have to be always anticipating that case. It's like, how would we handle that case if something we used becomes vulnerable in the future?
Right. And just to add to that, as a part of the time marching forward, computing power goes up, of course. We all know that. And so things that 10 years ago would have been computationally infeasible to brute force are now a matter of buying a few hours of time on an AWS cluster somewhere and boom, you're in. So the bar is raising over time as well.